Hello beautiful people, happy weekend and welcome to your practical application of astrology, which is what I'm going to be recording this weekend because I have all these collaborations being released with regards to the full moon in Aquarius that will be taking place on Monday. So my collaboration with my solstice Marisa Stars and Cards already was released yesterday, and I will be recording my collaboration with Adrian over the chart analysis on Sunday. So that will be either published on Sunday or Monday, so stay tuned for that. So I've decided to hold on with recording of the astrological forecast for next week because the full moon in Aquarius hasn't even happened yet. So I felt it would be probably much more useful to record a practical application of astrology, which is what I'm doing right here, right now. And I actually decided to do it indoors this time because the apartment is empty and I have peace and quiet and I have everything ready. My notes, my cards, everything is right here, even though it is a beautiful weather out there. So perhaps next time I'll do that again. So anyway, I would like to first and foremost open this space and call in my higher self, my spirit guides, my angelic team, and all the beings of light that wish to be present for this recording and to convey whatever messages will be supportive to us on our evolutionary journey at this stage. And yeah, thank you for being here. And thank you for being here. Thank you for listening and spending time with my little company over here. So yeah, I don't actually have an exact thought that I would like to start with, apart from the fact that this 888 portal, which took place on 8/8 last week, was not what I expected, I have to say, because I don't know what I was expecting, but I actually am a life path number 8. So I know that for people born in August and for people who are life path number 8, this is like a really significant frequency, even though it is for everyone, because of course 888 is affecting the entire world. But you know, we know that this number 8, it's all about abundance and infinity and this unlimited potential and all the rest of it. And it's just like, okay, where is it? You know, like, where is it? 888 rolled in, and where is it? You know, like, it's not quite what I was expecting. And actually, yeah, a lot of patterns are coming around again, because of course, if you do want to get to this abundance, prosperity, this different mindset, and creating reality that would be different from the past, we need to integrate the patterns of the past, because, right, if we don't learn from the past, then we tend to recreate it and then go through the same thing again. And even in my automatic writing, they started with the merry-go-round, you know, round and round it goes. And, you know, how long do we want to stay on that merry-go-round until, you know, we decide to jump in and then perhaps go in a different direction, right? So I feel for many of us in this past week, since the 888 portal, very likely many things started stirring and being brought to the surface again for us to look at, which is, you know, not what I expected. You know, I thought that, oh yeah, you know, just this energy will stream through and then it's like, oh, right here, right, and there is this massive upgrade or whatever, and then off we go. No, not so fast. Not so fast. There is still a lot of work to be done, which of course with Capricorn and also like 8 of Pentacles, I'm thinking here, like, yeah, there is a lot of work to be done, you know, with this number 8, with the 8 of Pentacles. And obviously, you know, we can think of the 8 of Swords as well, you know, like what else is still blocking us in our mind, you know, making us feel like, oh, there is no other way, you know, there is just this one way. And then of course we're building up the strength this year and the courage to face it, you know, to face the shadow, because the 8th house in astrology is the Scorpio. You know, it's all about diving deep into the shadow and transforming it and transmute it into something completely different, right? So yeah, so it's been fairly quiet until Wednesday, and then on Wednesday we had the Mars-Jupiter conjunction. So the thing started kicking off, because of course this conjunction was part of this mutable cross and, you know, at the precipice of the T-square, but on that actual day, Moon was in the sign of Sagittarius, so opposing the conjunction, ruled, you know, and Moon was in Sagittarius, ruled by Jupiter, that was, you know, in the sign of Gemini, opposing this moon, and also ruled by Mercury at the time, still in Virgo, retrograde, but just about to ingress into a sign of Leo, where Mercury is since that night later on. And then, yeah, today we are experiencing the first one of the squares becoming exact. Today, when I'm recording this on Friday, even though I will be releasing this on Saturday, yeah, Mars is making the square to Saturn exact. And, you know, the conjunction between the two of them took place right after the eclipse that took place on April 8th. 8, and also yesterday on, where are we today? Today is Friday, yesterday Thursday, we experienced the Sun made a trine to Chiron, and this again is bringing us back to April, bringing us back to this eclipse in Aries, because the eclipse happened in conjunction with Chiron, because Chiron and Sun had a conjunction on the same day, and we know that this Moon, Sun and Chiron were lined up, you know, in the same degree, in the same minute, everything, at the time of the solar eclipse. So this is very significant. So alongside with all this potential that is available to us, absolutely, you know, with this 888 portal that brought a lot of energy through. And, you know, I don't believe that, okay, the portal is now fully shut and that's it, you know, like goodbye, you know, you didn't, you know, cash up on that portal, like, sorry, you know, you missed out. No, you know, the energy is there, it's here, you know, it's available for us to tap into. It's just up to our 8 of Pentacles, you know, this work that we put into it, right? Like the work that we put into it that will determine how much of it will be tapping into, right? Because it's all frequency and vibration, and what are we frequency matched to. And this is why I feel this, obviously with this Jupiter-Mars conjunction in the sign of Gemini and Mercury being retrograde at the time still in Virgo, this is all about making changes and adjusting and you know, reevaluating, but also learning to discern, is this still working for me? You know, like if I'm going to make decisions from the same place where the past happened, you know, like if I'm going to use my past to dictate my decisions of the future, not like, you know, to discern and learn from the past, but doing things the same way, then we cannot really expect different result. So with this Mars-Jupiter conjunction that just took place on Wednesday, so 2 days ago from when I'm recording this, Mars is the ruler of the North Node. Mars, you know, is in Gemini. This is in Gemini, Jupiter in Gemini, expanding our consciousness. So it's saying like, no, we have to start tackling this situation in a very different way. Like we have to shift our mindset. We have to shift the way we look at this situation, how we identify this situation, because otherwise, if we keep doing the same old thing and thinking the same old way and deciding based on, you know, the past way of deciding, then it's not going to give us any different result. So now with this conjunction, and then right after having a Sun and Chiron trine, that once again is bringing us back to April, you know, the Mars conjunction to Saturn, which is, you know, today is a square, happened back in April, you know, this is all taking us back to today's eclipse season. And actually, you know, Sun trying to Chiron and Chiron being retrograde, this is all activated, all these degrees of the eclipse. The eclipse happened on 19 degrees, and I don't actually remember when exactly what degree Mars and Chiron, let me just check. Okay, I checked, it was on 23 degrees, so it wasn't on 19 degrees, but still not far off. And this is, anyway, this is all activating these April energies that stream through with this new moon, solar eclipse in Aries. Aries and Leo trine each other. Leo is the creation, you know, so it's like, okay, you've got the energy that comes through in Aries, and then, you know, it wants to be created, it wants to be put in a good use in Leo. So all this is becoming activated for us, especially since the new moon in Leo, 888 portal, and now we're heading towards this full moon in Aquarius on Monday, and this is going to be illuminating to us all these things that needs to change. Because all these squares that are happening today, on Sunday we have this Mercury-Uranus square number 2, because we already had one on the day of the full moon in Capricorn number 1, and there will be one more in September before Mercury moves back into the sign of Virgo, because Mercury is retrograde. So we have these three squares, Mercury, again, ruler of this Jupiter-Uranus, Jupiter-Mars conjunction. And yeah, and this is all telling us about this different way of identifying reality, this new way of making choices based on something that is unknown, not something that is known, because that is just going to recreate the same past, the same pattern. So with this Chiron that got activated, and also Chiron Mercury trine is becoming 3 times as well, there are a lot of things that are where we are wounded, a lot of unresolved stuff that is coming to the surface. So even though it is trine, and in many cases I would say, well, trine in evolutionary astrology doesn't necessarily feel good. It just feels that on a soul level, we're ready for it, you know, like we earn the brownie points to say, okay, you're ready for this lesson, you know, you're ready for this exam. But it doesn't mean it's gonna be easy, or it doesn't mean that on a human level, from the ego point of view, it's gonna be, you know, comfortable and, you know, all that. It means to me on a soul level that, yeah, you know, you are in a flow, you are ready for this, you know, your soul is ready for it, you earn you know, that exam, that you are ready to go to pass it, right? And with all these squares that are fully active at the moment, even though, like I said, most of them is becoming exact on the day of the full moon in Aquarius. I don't know why I want to call it eclipse. You know, this full moon in Aquarius on Monday, I just want to refer to it as eclipse, but I mean, it is squared by Uranus after all, just like the new moon was back in February. So there is a lot of energy, a lot of charge energy we are all tapping into, whichever way this is showing up in everybody's life, but we are all feeling this energy, this strong pressure of like something having to have to change, like something has to give, something has to change, because we no longer can go the same way, because as the precipice of this square, T-square that we have in the sky right now, we have this Mars-Jupiter. From one end is this Saturn in Pisces, right? Saturn retrograde. Saturn as the upcoming ruler of Pluto. I mean, Pluto's going to be moving back into the sign of Capricorn in 2 weeks, right? So we are not far off. 1st of September is coming around very quickly, yeah? And also Uranus stationed in retrograde shortly before. So the entire time, Pluto is going to be back in a sign of Capricorn for the final time. Uranus will be retrograde. And almost the entire time, Pluto is in Capricorn, Saturn be in retrograde. Saturn will station direct, I think, about 4 days before Pluto will move back into the sign of Aquarius. So there is a lot of retrograde motion, which is telling us going over. We are going over. And, you know, like for me to disclose how this has been showing up for me, like, oh my God, like I literally feel like in a deja vu. You know, I even speaking to my solstice, who is kind of like my confidant, and we do a lot of brainstorming, and then a lot of things get, you know, like new perception become available when we talk about these things. So anyway, so I'm like literally feeling like, how is this stuff coming around over and over and over again, you know, like it's like, you know, I thought I passed this lesson, I thought I moved away from this point, you know, and then, you know, it always comes around. And for me, being Taurus sun, it usually, and North Node in Taurus, South Node in Scorpio, Pluto in Scorpio, all the rest of it, it always comes around in a fixed sign season because obviously Leo season squares my sun, you know, Scorpio season opposes my sun, Aquarius season squares my sun again. So this is usually where I feel these patterns coming around. And yeah, obviously there is always going on astrologically that is going to support it, you know, just like with all the happenings we have going on at the moment. I mean, this Jupiter-Mars conjunction happens still in the conjunction with my Chiron, and Chiron is the key between Saturn and Uranus. Saturn is the physical reality, the manifested reality, and Uranus is that going beyond, the breaking that pattern, the pattern that became outdated. Saturn is in Pisces, Saturn is retrograde, Neptune is retrograde, Mercury is retrograde, Chiron is retrograde, Pluto is retrograde. You know, we're going to have a Jupiter station in retrograde, I mean last out of you know, these guys, but then we still have Mars going retrograde before the end of the year in December, and then as soon as Mars stations direct in February 2025, we're gonna have Venus turn in retrograde, you know. So I mean, everybody is making us to reevaluate, you know. And then we of course going to have these nodes moving into Virgo Pisces, which is all about healing and adjusting. And actually guys, the eclipses are not far off now. On Sunday, when we have this Mercury-Uranus square number 2 eclipse in Pisces, which is the first eclipse of this upcoming fall, but it's technically still happening in summer because we don't have equinox until a few days after that. The eclipse is happening on September 17, 18, depending where you are in the world, but either way, we are like 1 month away. We are 1 month away, so it's not far from now. And this is why all these things are happening, because this will be the first eclipse in Pisces. It is going to be conjunct in Neptune because it's on 25 degrees, the eclipse. Neptune is still retrograde, I believe, at the time, so not far from the eclipse. So there is so much happening, you know. Aquarius full moon squared by Uranus, you know, we have all this Pluto, you know, being participant of this full moon Capricorn, 29 degrees number 2, and then we're gonna have Neptune being participant of the Pisces eclipse, right? So I'm like, you know, all these big planets, these evolutionary planets that require change, and they're all going to change signs as well, you know, like Pluto is obviously going back into Aquarius for good in November, but then we have the dance, as I keep saying, between Saturn, Neptune and Uranus between 25, 26, they're gonna go back and forth in a new sign, then back, and then in a new sign 2026 and stay there. But there are so many things that are coming around. So just like I started saying, you know, for me, you know, like all these old patterns, and I always react the same way, you know, the fear, insecurity, the ego kicks off, you know, this like what we've learned, you know, what we've been passed on from the ancestors. You need to know how to control your environment, because, you know, there is that fake sense of safety and security that, oh, if I know what I'm doing next month, and I don't know who and I know who I'm working for, and I know my paycheck is coming, I feel safe. Right? And then we had 2020, and that kind of made a little bit of a, you know, a little bit of a breaking of that pattern, you know, breaking of the delusion of safety and security that doesn't mean anything. And also, you know, I might be dead tomorrow or something. Like, there is no guarantee, nothing is guaranteed. Tomorrow is not guaranteed. There is nothing is guaranteed, right? So I am observing myself where certain situations, certain patterns are coming around, which, you know, the ego goes, well, this is out of my control, it's not my fault, you know, it goes into its, you know, into its defensiveness, right? Like, there's nothing to do with me, even though I am a creator of my reality, nothing to do with me, you know, because the ego chooses when it's in control, and then when it's not its fault, you know, it's like, this is the Cancer Capricorn in a low vibration. I'm just a child, is that other person's fault, okay? So I'm really observing myself. I've been doing this a lot in the past week since 888 portal. I'm observing myself, observing my ego. Literally, it's like I sound like a what you call it, multiple personality disorder, right? This is literally how I feel, how I've been feeling in the past week. That there is an aspect of me that is observing my ego self, my ego mind, making up stories and reacting the same way, and trying to, how you say, make excuses and being defensive, and then going into all of these like, oh, what am I going to do? You know, how am I going to control this situation? And I really feel that now the situation is getting a little bit like, you know, to the point of being really uncomfortable, like, you know, like getting close to the point of extreme, right? And I was really trying to, you know, like tap into it, like really like trying to like observe the situation from a different way, you know, like just as I keep advising my clients, you know, you ask, well, what is my soul trying to show me through this experience? Because everything has purpose and meaning. And yeah, just because these words come through to me to say to people when I'm doing readings or making videos, doesn't mean that, you know, I can just easily apply it into my life always. Like, no, this is not quite how it works, because I have my lessons to learn too. And I'm like, oh yeah, it all sounds great in theory, you know, but then, like I said, when it comes knocking on my door, it's like, what do you want? You know, I don't know what to do with you. So anyway, so this situation that I'm at the moment is getting like to the point of being really uncomfortable, like really like, you know, starting to freak out, you know, like, what am I going to do? You know, kind of like that. So I'm like literally starting to think like, okay, there is something that I really need to shift about this perception, because I've been here before many times I've been in this situation before. And, you know, usually things always work out, you know, one way or another, there is always a way out of it. But why am I in this situation again? Reacting the same way, going into fear, ego starting to kick off. Okay, let's start grasping, you know, for the straws. How are we going to control this situation? Which, you know, happens every time, because we know this is a trauma response. This is a coping mechanism, something we learned from our environment, and the environment learned it from its environment. You know, ancestors passed it to us and so on, and we pass it to our kids. You know, like, okay, if there is a crisis, you know, we go react in this this way, okay, to survive, because this is the tried and tested. This is how they did it before, okay? And, you know, there are situations where it still works, but we're talking about expansion of consciousness, yeah? We're talking about expansion of consciousness. We're talking about the mind, because as we established previously, and this is nothing new, you know, this is one of the Hermetic principles, this is what many people are talking about, you know, everything starts with the thought, right? So my reality is creating from my thoughts. How do I think? How do I identify my reality? And this is very important to understand with regards to this Jupiter-Mars conjunction, because last time they conjuncted in Aries, right before new moon in Gemini in 2022. This time they conjuncted in the sign of Gemini. Last time it was a new moon in Gemini. This time they are conjuncting in a Gemini. And what we have going, you know, like we just had new moon Leo and we're gonna have a full moon Aquarius, right? Next time they're gonna conjunct in Leo, in a Scorpio season. I didn't check, but I wouldn't be surprised if the time after that they conjuncted in Scorpio. I wouldn't be surprised at all, you know. And then obviously the time after that one, 2030, I believe, they would be conjuncted in Aquarius, very likely. I didn't check, okay, so don't take my word on it, but this is what I'm tapping into here. There is a pattern, right? There is a pattern. We're moving along over here. I'm not saying that's exactly what's gonna happen, because I didn't check, so I don't have the data for you to offer. But I'm just observing some kind of patterns, and it's again taking us, like, you know, forward. We might feel like, oh well, we're just going in circles over here, nothing new is happening. So anyway, what I started talking about with regards to this you know, this thought, right? The reality is created from our thought. So based on my experience, how I've been, you know, experiencing a lot of distress, a lot of stress based on, you know, the situations that I'm experiencing in my life, and the ego trying to control it and trying to find a way, satisfactory way to the ego that would make me feel safe and secure and go, okay, yeah, everything is fine now because I know what I'm doing. Like, you know, even my upcoming trips, you know, it's like, oh yeah, it's booked, but doesn't mean anything, right? We know how this world operates, you know, these days. Doesn't mean anything, you know, like you can have a flight, you can have vacation planned, you can have whatever you want, and doesn't mean it's gonna happen or it's gonna happen that way, you know, which is being in this continuous and constant state of flow, because at the end of the day, the higher self is in charge, and whatever will happen will be in alignment, you know, with the expansion, you know, with the highest potential for the soul's growth and expansion. So anyway, so going back to this, observing myself, observing ego freaking out, going like, okay, you know, I think I understand now what's going on. I understand, because the ego doesn't understand. You know, the ego is getting to the point where it's like getting so exhausted, you know, it's literally like, like this young bull, you know, just backing off, you know, just like really wanted to, like, you know, just really wanted to go. And then it gets to the point where the ego gets so stressed out and so worn out, where it literally just has to like collapse. It has to relax, you know, it just has to go like, I cannot stress out anymore, you know, I'm just maxed out, you know. And I feel that this is exactly what universe is trying to do for me. You know, that the situation is getting to the point where the ego will freak out to the point where it will just have to give up. It will just have to give up freaking out, because it will understand that there is nothing I can do that I already had done that will solve this situation in a way that I can say like, oh, this is exactly going to work. You know, so, and this is what I feel for many of us, that we get into the point where we're so stressed and overwhelmed, and there is so much pressure, and, you know, like obviously, you know, the ego, the logical mind tries to go into the archive of the past and say, okay, try this, try this, try this, try this, because this is what we tried before, and none of that works, none of that releases that pressure, none of that makes us feel better, because it's like, okay, I tried this doesn't work, 1 year later I'm in the same situation, okay, what do? You know, everything I already tried got me again to the same place, you know, 1 year later. So then it gets to the point like, okay, well, I need to come up with something new, you know, there has to be a different way. It has to be something I haven't done before, because obviously I have done it and it led to the same, you know, the same situation, the same solution of the situation. And I think this is exactly where we are getting, you know, where we need to get. Well, at least I know this is where I need to get to the point where ego just collapses and it just goes like, I don't know how to resolve this situation. You know, I've tried everything, like I give up, you know, and it just literally just goes and hides somewhere, right? And that's exactly what the universe wants, because it says, okay, finally, you know, you vacated the space for the higher self, for the higher mind that knows everything already, because, you know, come on, nothing is accident over here. You know, we all planned this, you know, and agreed to this. And we might have the illusion that, oh yeah, I have such a free will all my life, which, yeah, to a certain extent, but, you know, the bigger picture is, you know, it is already determined, right? Predetermined, like, okay, yeah, you came here to have an experience. How you gonna get there? You can choose, but you get in there, you know. So yeah, and this is where new things will open up. So it's like literally getting to the point now where I'm like, well, I don't know how to resolve this, you know. I literally just have to learn to trust that I'll be inspired, like there will be an inspired guidance, you know, something to take me into the direction of like, okay, this is the inspired action that you need to take or whatever, and it will work out. Somehow it will work out, because you know, what's the point otherwise? You know, we didn't come here to just keep going in circles, repeating the same pattern and not getting anywhere. We all came here with the purpose, you know, we all came here to add an additional layer, you know, additional layer to co-creating the change, you know, to weaving together this new patchwork of the new earth. So we know that eventually everything's gonna work out, you know, whatever way this reality is looking at the moment, your life is looking at the moment, you know, the person next door, their life looks at the moment, it is all going to work out. Eventually everything will work out one way or another, because everything is, there is such a divine intelligence, divine wisdom, divine intelligence, and everything is connected. That's the thing, you know, this is the biggest, you know, problem, because this is the biggest issue, you know, the amnesia that we have, because we forgot that everything is connected and everything is there to support everything else. And you know, many of us think that we single-handedly need to sort it all out and fix it all, and you know, like okay, let me just, because there is a message coming through, so that's why I'm getting disrupted, because you know, literally spirit is just telling me, you know, like this is the download I just received, you know, with regards to my own childhood and my own trauma, and you know, like, which again is a pass on, you know, it's not something that my parents did consciously, you know, like because they are bad people and they wanted to traumatize their children, because why not, you know. No, you know, they didn't even understand, they didn't even know what was going on, because they just did what they were being taught and shown to do, you know. And this is what majority of parents, you know, do, until we get to the point now, conscious parenting, when people are trying to do something different, right? Again, different, change the pattern, no manual, just doing your best and trying to change the pattern, and you know, just learning as you go, but by, you know, trying to make a different choice, right? This is exactly that. So anyway, so what the spirit just gave me was that, you know, when I was a kid and I experienced my things that, you know, that took place in my childhood and stuff, I created this coping mechanism, just like, you know, we all do, especially in childhood, when there is something traumatic present in itself and we don't know how the hell to deal with it, especially at that age. We create a way to cope with the reality where, you know, this experience gets put somewhere in a subconscious, because, you know, it's like, I don't know how to deal with this, you know, I'm small, you know, I don't have the tools in this human incarnation to deal with this stuff. I need to go through life, Virgo, you know, and gather these practical tools of understanding, like, what the hell is this, you know, 21st century about, and how the world operates over here, you know. And then eventually we can start the healing process, Virgo Pisces, you know, the eclipses that are going to be coming out soon, you know. And actually, yeah, I just thought that, you know, this trine between Sun and Chiron, the first eclipse in Virgo will be happening on 23 degrees, but Leo is obviously before Virgo, so there is a semi-sextile, and Aries and Virgo, there is an inconjunction. Of course there is, because we can't see the picture, you know, we can't see the whole picture, we just have to trust and surrender, right? So this is what I just received, you know, that yes, of course, everything that how I'm reacting and or responding, you know, depending how conscious is the answering happening, it is you know, it's a deep ingrained mechanism that was installed when things originated, you know, in childhood. You know, like there were situations, like I said, we couldn't necessarily cope with, we couldn't integrate, we couldn't heal at the time because we didn't have the tools, we didn't understand what was going on. So we created a coping mechanism that helped us to get through life, and then we just kept using the same thing throughout our adulthood. So even now in my life, you know, like situation, you know, challenging situation appears, and then, you know, because of the things that I experienced in my childhood, and thinking like, well, I have to figure it out, I have to sort it out, I'm the oldest, you know, I didn't have a childhood, I have to be a grown up from a get-go and responsible and all the rest of it. So I feel the same way now. Well, I need to figure it out, I need to fix it, I need to know how to do it, you know, like how comes that I'm in this situation, you know, I failed, you know, and this unprocessed guilt and shame from the previous generation, and, you know, like, oh yeah, you know, I should just damn myself because, you know, how could I be so whatever, you know, whatever adjective we want to put in front of it or something. And I understand, and this is exactly why this is happening, you know, this is exactly why these situations keep coming around, to help us to heal these patterns, to help us to recognize that, well, this is just a coping mechanism. You know, it is not necessarily the, you know, it's not the only solution to this situation. It is not the only way I can be responding to this situation, but it's the one that the ego gives me first. You know, there is the tool, you know, the tool you always use. So here it is, you know, like when the surgeon is making an operation and, you know, the nurse just passes on the scalpel or whatever the hell. I mean, I'm not the, you know, medical stuff, so I don't know all the instruments, but you know what I mean, you know, so, you know, it's just like, it's an automatic, you know, they say, okay, I want this, blah, 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 or they don't even need to ask, you know, the person just passes it over and stuff. And this could be even, you know, what I'm talking about is outdated because, of course, now we have everything, more and more technology being involved. So anyway, that's what I mean. So there is a situation. Brain very quickly identifies this is all happening from the subconscious. We don't even have to think about it. Like, oh, danger, tiger, you know, bear, whatever. And it's like, okay, this is the tool that worked before. Here you go. You know, and it's like, yeah, but that tool didn't actually work because, you know, over and over and over again, I am finding myself in the same situation. And you give me the same tool, which means that 1 year from now, or 4 months from now, or 3 months, or whatever, I'll be finding myself in the same situation, trying to put this plaster on this thing, but actually it's not going to heal it. It's just going to cover it up for, you know, a little bit of time, and that's it. And now things are speeding up, you know, so these things are coming around much faster, you know, much faster, much quicker. And it's like, okay, you know, same situation, what you're gonna do about it? You know, it doesn't have to be the same details, but the same energy of this, like, despair, you know, this, like, stress, panic attack, you know. I literally was sharing with my sister, I literally feel like I'm getting a panic attack, like, you know, the ego literally going into distress, like, I don't know what to do, you know, like, literally, like, the noose is getting, like, tighter and tighter, and, like, you know, and this is what I feel, like, this is literally, and I mean, you can see it in the world. I mean, how much tighter the noose has to get, you know, like for us to feel like, oh my God, I have no oxygen to breathe anymore. And yeah, this is something that actually I struggle with, shallow breathing, all my life, you know, which is again a trauma response, you know. And yeah, you could even say like, well, that's why she talks so fast. But no, this is, you know, this is, well, I mean, maybe some of it is part of it, but this is also, you know, because of all the things that are present in my chart and in my reality. But anyway, all of that is just a story anyway. So yeah, I feel I'm just going in circles here, but this is, for me, this was such a important switch, you know, because rather than things coming around again and again, and I already started recognizing this switch before, you know, when I went to Bulgaria, actually, yeah, when was it? May, end of May, beginning of June, you know, when I had the first shocker in May, when I realized about this change of legislation and, you know, the rules and stuff, and, you know, that got me onto this completely different spiral, this different journey from the one that I was planning with my ego mind, you know, in the comfort of Mexico. I was planning my summer like, oh yeah, I'll go to Bulgaria for 3 months and I'll be going a little bit of back and forth, Bulgaria, England, Slovakia, all the rest of it, you know, staying at my friends who are now moving to different countries, so they will not be here anymore. And yeah, and you know, everything, one thing after another, just started taking out, you know. Oh, your friends are moving, they're not gonna be here anymore, so you actually have no one to come and visit anymore. Oh, okay, actually no, Bulgaria is not available either, because you know, Bulgaria joined Schengen, so now you don't have, you know, 180 days between the two countries, you have altogether 90 days, very different thing, right? And I just feel like how these things, like slowly the spirit is just taking all these things from under my feet and saying, no, this foundation is not gonna hold, you know, this foundation is not stable, it's not good, you know, so we need to start taking these things apart, and you need to build you need to build a stronger foundation. And yeah, and there is always the same response, you know, the ego, like, but you know, trying to grab onto the same thing and trying to resolve situation the same way, and it's not working, and literally now getting to the point when it's going like, well, you need to kind of just chill, ego, you know, you need to go back in a back seat and allow this higher consciousness, you know, this higher mind to kick off, to guide you, because there are so many possibilities that you don't see, because you're just grabbing for the same scalpel, you're grabbing for the same thing, but actually it's not gonna work anymore, you know. Now we, I don't know, doing a microsurgery or something over here, you know, we don't need this thing anymore, we need something different now, or whatever. I don't even know why I'm talking about medical jargon, because I have zero vocabulary with regards to medical stuff, so do excuse. I think it's this Mercury, you know, going retrograde, just, you know, trying to be funny. So yeah, and I'm actually getting now to the point where I've been so stressed that I'm just starting to relax. It got to the point of being so stressed that now I'm actually, okay, you know. So this is even like what I feel with regards to collective. How bad does it have to get, you know? How bad does it have to get until we just go and, no, I'm not doing this anymore, it doesn't work for me, you know? So what else are you going to do? You know, this is my favorite for my parents, you know, my biggest teachers, my parents, when they say, well, what else are you going to do, you know? And I go, I don't know. And, you know, and then they actually, well, now they actually kind of changed their attitude a little bit, because I've changed my attitude, my energy. So I'm just like presenting things like as a Capricorn, like, well, this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm not doing, and this is what I'm waiting, you know, like, or waiting. This is what I'm being patient in awaiting of the result or whatever. And they kind of just responding, because I'm not freaking out, you know, especially by the time I have a conversation with them, I'm just like, yeah, you know, it's gonna work out. So they're like, okay, well, you are grown up, you can take care of it. Whereas before they were like, you know, trying to resolve situation for me and just triggering the hell out of me, because their tools are even more outdated than mine. So anyway, so yeah, so it's getting to the point where I'm just starting to surrender, like trust and surrender, and go like, I have no idea, you know, but I know that everything that I've tried before didn't work. So obviously there must be a different way. And me being in a state of, you know, stress or hopelessness, or, you know, this ego trying to micromanage the universe, which is so funny, because I know that card came out last week, and I was like, oh yeah, this is me. This is me, hand up, you know, trying to micromanage the universe and say, oh yeah, universe, you know, but this is the way I want it to be. Okay, yeah, universe, I trust you and I surrender, but this is exactly how I want you to deliver this. You know, and I'm like, oh, okay, called out over here. So yeah, so this is exactly what's going on. And I feel with these squares and this, especially the Jupiter-Mars conjunction, because it is the creation of this new way of perceiving reality, you know, this seeding of this new cycle, which will culminate in November 2026 in Scorpio season in the sign of Leo. I didn't check the chart, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was in a conjunction with the South Node, because by then I believe South Node will be in the sign of Leo, but I don't have the numbers, so I really don't know for sure, but I have a feeling and it would make sense. Either way, it's happening in Leo, you know, in 2026, which is the year number 10. You know, the endings and new beginnings. Next year is the 9, which is the culmination, you know, and then is the reset point, you know, 2026, endings and new beginnings, you know, 10, 0 and 1. So yeah, So this is very important conjunction because it is giving us the choice. And, you know, this is the year of the choice, and Jupiter is in the sign of Gemini, which is giving us the choice. And, you know, Jupiter expands everything it touches, but it depends what we give it to work with. So we can tap into the ego consciousness, you know, the Mercury, the left brain, right? Or we can tap into the right brain, you know, or we can just work with both and, you know, just to understand, okay, when I should, you know, when is a good time to use which, you know, because of course the ego has its place, but at the moment we are getting to the point where we need to turn the master into the, you know, into the, not servant, I mean, it just sounds wrong to say slave or servant, but like apprentice in a sense, you know, like you are like my assistant. Yeah, assistant is the right word. So the ego needs to become an assistant to the higher self. But, you know, until this point, for majority of us, for many, many lifetime, ego has been the master. You know, it was the only thing we knew. So this is why I feel we have so many squares. Because, as I said, from one end is Saturn in Pisces retrograde, which is taking us inwards and, you know, culminating, because Pisces, culminating this everything that came before, you know, especially throughout Pisces age, but well beyond that, everything that came before, and Saturn is retrograde, say, well, this reality is not going to hold on, you know, so we need to kind of start thinking about this differently. And this is a crisis in action, Mars and Jupiter to Saturn, crisis in action, which is saying a new choice have to be made. And then from the other leg is this Venus, which will make an exact opposition to Saturn on Monday, on the day of the full moon, which is not an eclipse, but it feels like it, in Aquarius. And, you know, Venus and Saturn, Venus is the ruler of the South Node, Saturn is the upcoming ruler of Pluto next month. It is all about balancing, and Venus is in Virgo. It's literally saying, what have we learned? What have we learned? Have we learned anything? You know, just like me with my life, I'm almost 40 years old and I'm just going in circles over here, literally over and over and over again, you know, my whole life in circles, you know, struggling with the same problems, with the same issues in the same areas of my life. Like, okay, it's not like I haven't learned nothing, you know, it's like, obviously there has been a growth and evolution and certain progress, but there is still, the main topics are still there. And I'm like, well, this is what I came here to learn, right? So, I mean, come on, when am I going to do that? So, yeah, so there is this other square which is saying exactly that, crisis in action with regards to Venus in Virgo and Mercury being in Leo. You know, we need to engage the heart. And actually, this is the last thing I'm going to say because the time is running away from us and I have quite a few decks. It is all about this heart-centered consciousness. And actually, I made an intention, you know, that actually I want to be able to connect to people more through my heart, you know, like to be more, like, for my heart to become more engaged in my life. And it's so funny how it shows up because, you know, it's like coming up in these most unexpected moments, like, you know, a courier guy bringing me a parcel and suddenly I get this like a heart opening. We say, oh, you know, look at this person. He came all this way with his, you know, car just to deliver my parcel as the only person in this block. You know, he only had my parcel and that's why he had to come all this way. And I mean, obviously we would say like, oh yeah, well, that's his job, no? But like, yeah, everybody has a job, right? But, yeah, and this is exactly how I would look at it. Like, oh yeah, thank you. You know, you're just doing your job. But like, it's just so funny because literally today I was like looking at this person, you know, giving me this parcel with my essential oils. And I was like, oh, this is so like nice, you know, like I'm so grateful that this person, you know, came all this way just to deliver my only parcel in this entire block, you know, or like it was another very crazy situation, which is so like, I mean, like seriously, I was crossing a road and there was a car just about to turn, and you know, when I noticed the seatbelt, and I just got like this like clutch at my heart and started getting emotional, like, oh look, you know, like I can't even explain it. It was like literally again this like higher self observing and saying like, you know, we human, we are like so vulnerable in a way, but there are so many things, you know, that we've learned, you know, like our ancestors, like a seat belt, for example, you know, this wasn't a thing like 100 years ago, right? Seat belt, or even cars, like not, well, I mean, yeah, eventually, like obviously 100 years ago already there were cars, but like seat belt wasn't a thing, you know, so all these things which, you know, even like observing that how all these like systems, like, okay, we know these systems are you know, rotten and outdated and definitely need upgrade 100%. But, you know, it took so long, like it took time and so many people's blood, sweat and tears and dedication to get us to where we at. And, you know, even though we can now see like, okay, well, this is not working anymore, but it worked for such a long time. And all these people, even like me going to post office and seeing majority of people working there should be retired, you know, and thinking like, oh my God, you know, like, you know, these people still need to have a job because obviously the cost of living in the UK is so ridiculously high, and people, you know, have to work till God knows which age now. And, you know, again, this hard opening, you know, this like heart to heart, like, you know, like I'm probably just butchering it off and not even explaining it properly. But like starting to, and I'm not saying I'm doing a great job, but I put an intention out there that I want to have more of a experiencing this reality from my heart. So weird things started happening, like, you know, like me starting having these thoughts when I'm in a post office, when I'm crossing the road, when a guy brings my parcel, and this is like things that I wouldn't even pay so much attention to before. Like, okay, there is a person doing their job, I say thank you, I'm being polite, you know, and stuff, but, you know, it's just a mental exchange, you know, there is not like much of a hard engagement, like, you know, thinking like, you know, like this person should, you know, like would be probably much happier at home in her garden, or then what do I know, I'm just making stories, you see, just making stories over here. So yeah, I think it's like starting to like engage with the reality in a very different way, which is much more heart-centered, and seeing people just not what they do for us, like, you know, oh yeah, these people are doing all these things for me, how lucky am I, but about like seeing them as a divine being on their own journey. Like, yeah, you know, this person is doing service for me, I paid for this service, this person is getting hopefully a paycheck, you know, salary. But all these beings in our life, they are also souls having their soul journey, and we are all in this together, but we don't even like look at each other. We don't even notice that, oh, there is another being over there. You know, we just see like it's all automatic. Yeah. So anyway, guys, you know, it is Mercury retrograde. I still managed to talk for a long time, but I don't know if anything makes any sense. But yeah, this is kind of what I've been experiencing since the 888 portal. A lot of heart openings and you know, a lot of shifts and changes that are just, you know, slow, subtle movements that hopefully will lead to something, you know, something completely different, something that will create a different way of experiencing life, you know, for me. And hopefully, as I believe all of us are in this process currently, for all of us, you know. So yeah, and this, like I said, this upcoming Aquarius full moon, we just show us, you know, with all these squares, it will illuminate to us what it isn't that needs to change, that it is not supportive of this journey forward momentum of the Aquarian age. Okay, let's see, you know, 47 minutes. What do my spirit guides want to share with me today? So I'm sharing with you guys. Okay, here we go. Round and round, the story of the past goes until you jump off the merry-go-round, and once the world stops spinning, everything will suddenly appear very differently. This is where humanity is at right now. The story goes round and round until enough of you decide to say no to it and start weaving a new story, the story of the new Earth. In this new story, humanity will have learned from the lessons of the past, so they no longer need to be projected into the upcoming times. Even though in reality this is not really how things are, because everything coexists at the same time. However, in human terms, the story of the past is culminating because this story had been played so many times that now completely lost its meaning and is no longer desired by the source or any of your souls incarnate to play out in the same way again. So many of you are experiencing and re-experiencing the past patterns, the unhealed and unintegrated wounds are coming up again, pulling you into yourself, into the depth of your inner world where everything can be transformed and reborn anew. And this is how you are all birthing the new Earth. one person at a time, one chapter at a time. It is a process that will take some time to manifest externally. However, it already exists in the unseen realms. The future potential is here, has been here all along. It's encoded within each and every single one of you. The recent and upcoming activations are bringing the aspects of you are bringing the forgotten aspects of you back online. You are changing and transforming continuously and at the rapid pace, even though you might not see much changing in your outer world as yet. The change will emerge. That change will emerge too. Just be patient and trust the process. Everything has its divine timing and cannot be controlled by the ego mind. The ego mind is undergoing training of surrendering and trust. Not an easy process, not a simple task, but absolutely necessary and inevitable. The way your mind will be engaging with the reality you are co-creating and will be experiencing going forward will be very different to anything you've experienced before. Train your mind, become the master of it, and therefore conscious creator of your reality. Your higher mind sees the bigger picture and already knows the way. Trust your inner wisdom that's coming from your heart. Your hearts are your superpower. Allow them to guide the way. Way into the new reality, new way of experiencing life. It's there, it's already available to you. Tap in and listen. Not always easy with all the drama, all the outer distractions and stories. Choose your own adventure, the story you wish to focus on creating. It doesn't appear possible, but it's much simpler than you think. Everything is already in place, already there to welcome you in. Master your mind and you will master your life. Remember who you are and what you came here to do. Become who you are meant to be. It's time, dear soul, the time you've been waiting for, and you are supported always. Okay, guys. So this is what I got. And now let's pull some cards, because I have a few. And we are going to start with a deck I hardly ever use, because it is a dark deck. And it's called the Dark Mirror. So I know I used it once or twice before. So let's use it again, because I feel there might be a message, you know, with all these squares and all these things that are coming up from the underbelly. And let's see what it is. So, okay, Dark Mirror. Message from Dark Mirror to what's going on, especially coming up towards the Aquarius Full Moon. The Temple of My Body, number 2. Okay. And there is a square. And then we have something at the bottom, which is Envious Gluttony, number 9. Interesting. So here we go, the Temple of My Body. And then we have this one, which is the Gibbous, Envious Gluttony, number 9. Something that's culminating. Okay, let's focus on this one first. Let's see what it says. And it's number 2, the Duality. The Temple of My Body, Moon Phase, first quarter. Here we go, first quarter square, Crisis in Action. Stage, Depression. I feel I am not worth enough. Visual seed, a succubus-like creature with claws resembling nails holds a very thin silver chain. Oh yeah. And the pendant on it appears like a crimson tear of blood. Sentence, my body is the temple of my soul. It has no secrets to me. Going dark. This card is about the darkness in the body. Culture can make us take distance from what is our corporality. So many religions and customs, for instance, demonize sex in many different ways, lacing it with guilt, as an assassin could lace food with poison. On the other side, we are collaborators in cheapening our body, hiding it, being shamed by it, selling it, giving it away for nothing. It happens when we accept an abusive relationship, when we refuse to respect the body of another, or more simply, when we do things like being too lazy to eat healthily. Our body is a temple. It cannot be defiled. We can take a shower, raise our chin, feel proud. It is our body, ours. Yeah, this is something which, especially with this Uranus in Taurus, squaring the moon, and this is a last quarter square, you know, because Taurus to Leo, with regards to Sun and Uranus and Moon to Uranus, last quarter square, crisis in consciousness, something that needs to shift. And it is our self-hate. It is our lack of feeling worthy and feeling that we deserve something better. Because there is actually something very interesting I came across today on Instagram. Jesus, what's the guy name? Louis. This guy that's got the School of Mastery. He put out this short reel. I can't think of his name. I will put it in the notes. Louis. He said that if you don't have what you desire, that means you are not ready to receive it. And in many cases, we are not ready to receive because we don't feel worthy of it. We don't feel that this is available to me, that I can have it. And this is exactly like I said, with what I'm experiencing at the moment, you know, which is like, yeah, why am I experiencing this? I don't want this, you know. So it's like, well, do I feel I deserve better? Do I feel I can trust that I can create better, or, you know, like have a different experience to the one that I am part of, you know, and also like not feeling in resentfulness and resistance because this experience serves its purpose and is trying to teach me something. But it all comes down to self-worth, which is the number 2, the Taurus, the self-worth. You know, many of us are seeing ourselves like, oh, we are just these monsters, you know, going through life or something. Like, we never see ourselves as we, you know, really are. And it's funny because somebody also I heard saying, I cannot, you know, give credit because I don't remember who it was, but they said that we don't see reality as the reality is, but as we are, you know, we see reality through the filter of how we feel about ourselves. So yeah, so this is, you know, this is so profound because it literally is, we lost the connection to ourselves. You know, we were being conditioned to believe that we are unworthy, we are imperfect, we are all these, you know, labels and stuff. And this is how we perceive reality, through this belief that this is who we are, and this is what created this big division and separation. First came from us and the source, you know, us and the higher self, and then from one another. And this is what continuously keeps creating these experiences where nobody is really happy and everybody feels separate because, you know, the core problem is that we are separate from ourselves because we don't like ourselves. And that goes back to these stories that we were being passed on, you know, feeling that, well, you don't deserve any better. What do you want, you know? Okay, and then feel this envious gluttony. Yeah, because somebody that installed these stories, you know, is enjoying that, you know, people being in this turmoil of their own unhappiness. Moon phase, vaccine gibbous. This is, I believe, the Leo phase. Stage, denial. Going to the edge of the ravine, savoring the idea of letting go or restraint, visual seed, and man has rotting, sickly skin and yellow eyes. He dresses in tatters and sticky blood runs down his chin. He has clawed feet and crown of skeleton alligator jaw, the upper part of his head, the lower part of his chest, like a gaping mouth. This is just not very pretty card to look at, right? Sentence, there is hunger sleeping just under the surface like an animal lurking. Going dark, this card is not just dark, it is unpleasant. Just like what I said. Sickly disgusting. The difference in the how we feel in front of a vampire as opposed in front of writhing bugs. It's an existential darkness that we can paint of romance, drama, and subtle anguish. It is raw, primal, reeking of rotten stench. It feels like there is darkness, and in that black landscape there is a hole leading to an even greater darkness, and that is calling. The urge is pressed down every time, played with, toyed with, treated like something that doesn't belong here. It's like rolling in the mud, bringing out the twisted, refreshing feeling of demeaning oneself. The key is that we don't want to recognize the depth of the envy and anger. We casted it out for ourselves, and now it's surely a parasitic monster, impossible to accept as something that came out of ourselves. What if we bring light to the pitch dark well? What if the scary monster is just a scrawny start feeling? What if just a little thing, dark as star, indeed, but to be sorry of, not to be feared? What if it's just a little thing, dark as star indeed, but to be sorry of, not to be feared? And it's on the page number 11, interesting. So yeah, so because of this, this is where we got to, you know, that there is never enough. It's never enough. Whatever we have, whatever we achieve, it's never enough because of this disconnection, because of the lack of self-love. So yeah, so this is at the core, this is the shadow of humanity, that we're just trying to escape these emotions that feel so dark, that can never be resolved if you keep escaping it. And this is like how I said, you know, that the universe will keep pushing and getting us to the point where we just have to surrender. We just have to surrender and just be with it, be with the emotion, be with the darkness, so we can transmute it, because the energy cannot be destroyed, it can only be transformed. Okay, now I'm going to pull a card from Heal Yourself. Okay, how are we going to heal it? You know, interesting that... Anyway, you see, it's interesting how these cards work together. Okay, heal yourself. How are we going to heal this? Okay, card. Wild. Unleash your wildness, your authentic expression. Look, she's all in red. The passion of creation. And dragon, we are in a year of the wood dragon, right? Look at that. You know, this dragon. Believe in the possible. Wild, number 15, which is number 6. Harmony and balance. In tarot is the devil card, right? Well, looks pretty good to me. Oh yeah, and the inner child, of course. The inner child. It is all about healing the inner child. Unleash the true, authentic version of you. To heal the inner child within that didn't get a chance to speak. And that's interestingly, it's a card 16, so we have a sequence, even though one just was like flaring out from the middle of the deck and one was at the bottom. Okay, let's see. The inner child. And the wild. Okay, let's go to the wild first. I am very conscious of time because I know people have other things to do. Okay, that's this lady. All right, wild. There is a wild, untamed spirit inside of you, desperate to be unleashed. Free it and claim the gifts of energy, power, passion, and creativity it offers you. Through suppressing your wild, succulent, outrageous, and untamed self, you dull your senses and crush your creativity. You shrink, lose your energy, and become depressed. Your relationships suffer and your rage grows. Oh my God, that's exactly like the first cards. Yeah, this is why. You become ashamed, hostile, cold, boring, over-serious and scared. You stop taking chances and live in mediocrity. Constantly trying to protect yourself, just like the ego. The truth is that no one can judge you, punish you, or hurt you as much as you can. Give in to your wildness and stop living a sham. This part of you, sensual, provocative, truthful, courageous, bold, passionate, and alive. Set it free. Action, go into nature. A forest is ideal. Find a secluded place. Take off your shoes. Feel the earth on the grass underneath your feet. Breathe in the air. Connect to the untamed quality of nature, animals, weather, seasons, planets, and your ancestors. Move the way tribal people move. Feel the energy from the ground moving into your feet and up your whole body. Make sounds. Let go of control as you move around, touching trees, smelling flowers, etc. If you want to do this inside, find photos of people, animals, and symbols which represent wildness to you. Take a few minutes to look at them and feel what they evoke in you. Put in some tribal wild music and dance. Do this as often as you can for the next month. Wow, you know, seriously, this is what is actually this. When unleashed, this beauty, this creation, this passion, you know, this boat that's going to take us into unknown, but there is that light that is guiding us forward, the light from our soul, then the dragon, you know, trust. And this is the year of the wood dragon. This is what we all will be pushed to do, you know, because this is where we got, you know, this complete disconnection, and it's things are so dark we don't even want to look at them anymore. But this is what's really there, what's hiding. We just can't see it. And yeah, and I'm sure behind all of that is this, the inner child that just wants to be heard. Okay, let's go to the inner child. Your inner child is urging you to lighten up a little. Get out of your comfort zone and have fun. In order to be healthy, we must engage our imagination, creativity, and spontaneity. When was the last time you did something spontaneous, intuitive, and outrageous? When and with whom do you feel uninhibited, relaxed, or completely comfortable to be yourself? Your inner child can be your strongest ally in your biggest foe. It can assist you to heal childhood pain, rejection, loneliness, and abandonment. It can take you on an exciting adventure, help you become more confident, daring, original, and bold. Or it can make you behave in childish ways, bring up anxiety, fear, and suspicions. This card beckons you to heal your childhood pain and discover your independence, compassion, creativity, talents, and joy. A healthy inner child can help you to connect to your integrity, divinity, and purity. It believes in miracles and creates magic in your life. And action, find a photo of you as a child between the ages of 3 and 8. Look at the pictures. What do you see in your eyes? What is the expression on your face? If this little child had a voice, what would she or he say to you? Take some paper and using your non-dominant hand write, "Dear," and then your name, "I feel." Give the little you a chance to express itself. Then write a loving response from the adult you. Ask the child in you what she or he needs to feel better. Then follow the child's recommendations. Yeah, these two, to create different reality, to heal this, so it can be integrated, because this is the shadow. That is the shadow. Okay, and speaking of which, let's ask the inner child. Let's ask the inner child. I have the inner child oracle, so let's ask it. Okay, inner child, what do you wish to tell us? Inner child. Okay. There is hope ahead. Have courage and take heart, for there is hope. Oh, look at that. This beautiful new earth. Look, there is a being that is looking at the hologram of the new, you know, like it's not even hologram. It's like, it's in a process of manifestation. You see, in an invisible realm, it already exists. And this figure is moving towards it. On the cloud, on the water, you know, something that seems impossible, but it's already pushing us forward. There is a card number 35, sorry, number 8. And we had the 16 and 15, 7. So we have the 6, 7, 8. And then we had 2 and 9. It's interesting. Okay, what is at the bottom? Emotions are the reflection. Look for the deeper meaning. Look at these 2 swallows. And it's a full moon. Full moon. Look at the deeper meaning of what's going to be coming to the surface. Because this is what we are creating. Have hope. Okay, let's see. And that's 12, which is Hangman, shifting perspectives, and also number 3, expansion, co-creation, collaboration, co-creation with the spirit, you know, the two, just like here, the 2. This was the disconnection from the spirit, and this is the connection, reconnection with the spirit, to create this, to heal the inner child and unleash the true essence of who you are, this wild being that came here to create. Okay, so 35, there is a hope ahead. I'm just going to read the interpretation of the card. There is the earth is a precious gift. Oh, well, sorry, this is the wrong one. There is a hope ahead. Life is a journey filled with many highs and lows. Sometimes a low can be followed by another and another, until all that is remembered are the low places. It is at these times that it may seem as though there is nothing left to hope for, and all that remains are the ashes of what once was. If you have pulled this card, know that there is hope once more. And then Wonderman exercise. Now it is the time to let hope in. There is so much good waiting for you ahead. There is a deep and divine love that is always present and always waiting to wrap you in its arms. You are held, you are loved, you are never ever alone. Reach out today unto the divine and be held by love. Wow. Okay, and these emotions are reflections. Emotions are reflections. Emotions can often indicate how the event is affecting your inner child. When you experience an unusually intense emotional response to a present situation, it might be a sign that an aspect of your inner child is hurting. Since your inner child can carry many different wounds from childhood into your present moments as an adult, when intense emotions do arise, it is good to take a moment to sit with them and with your hurting inner child. Awareness exercise. Find a space where you can focus on your feelings and try to identify the sensations you are currently feeling. Ask yourself if there is a connection between how you feel now and your childhood. Listen to your intuition and become curious about what you are experiencing. Follow the trail of your emotions forward, continuing to ask yourself questions about where the root of these emotions might lie. Ask yourself if there is anything you can do to help heal this old wounding in the present moment. Have patience with yourself in this process and put this exercise aside if it becomes too overwhelming. And responsive journaling prompt. Is this current emotion attached to something deeper inside you? Ask yourself how it feels to understand the deeper meaning of these emotions. So yeah, you know, all the old wounds, just like I was sharing with regards to my situation. I understand this is a coping mechanism, and it's a coping mechanism that came from times before, but it's time to change it. We are not alone. We can ask for help. There are people available to help us, to share their wisdom, to share how they got from A to B. You know, we're not alone, and this is the thing, you know, it's not going to be about one lone wolf being on the top of the pyramid telling everybody else that, hey, I'm in charge and I call the shots. This is not the age of Aquarius. So at the moment, we are going through all these blockages, these things that are making us feel unworthy to ask, unworthy to receive, and unworthy to even, you know, try to co-create with someone else. We feel like we should just all figure it out by ourselves, you know. But anyway, all these wounds are coming around for us to question, you know, where did it come from? And does this still serve us? Or is it something that used to serve, but now, you know, we can approach this in a different way, because we are creating a different world. You know, the hope, we are already creating it. You can see it's already being created. It's not fully manifested, but it's already there. We are already moving towards it. And yeah, and it's all about this, you know, unleashing the true passionate being that you really are, you know, all the red, the creation, the base chakra, being, you know, being courageous to be you, and allowing this dragon, this year of wood dragon, to lead us there, to heal this inner child, and allow these, you know, versions of ourselves to heal and be put to rest. You know, like seriously imagine, you know, how similar these two women, dark-haired women, It looks like the same version. It's the same person. It's the same person. But this is how we see ourselves, starve to death, starve from, you know, the affection, right? And this is what is the other side of it. It's the same side of the flip side of the same coin. You know, this is who you can be, but this is how many of us see ourselves. Yeah. Okay, guys, one more. I'm not going to use all the decks, but I really want to use the Shaman's Dream, which me and my soul's Marisa also used for stars and cards, and really good message came out of it. So I really would like to ask the Shaman's Dream for some help with regards to this Aquarian full moon energy and going forward, even though I already pulled cards for the Aquarius full moon, but there are so many energies present at the moment. And yeah, there is a lot of interesting information coming to my attention with regards to time and shamanism, and how, you know, like this time of Homo sapiens and, you know, this epoch, this timeline, it's coming to an end. It's coming to the end. This is like, in a sense, actually the creator Alberto Villoldo said it's the distinction of the human Homo sapiens, because we becoming Homo illuminous, like we becoming illuminated, our light body is coming online. So this is why all this density is coming out, because we need to transform it, because it's holding us here in this rat race, is this never-ending story, you know, in this continuous circle, you know, always stuck in the same merry-go-round. And we need to break out of it, you know, by following our passion, by following the voice of our soul. So let's see what this Shaman's Dream, what is there to share with us. Okay, Shaman's Dream. Card, please. Card of guidance with regards to the current energies. There was too many cards. Oh, okay, card flipped out. Fortune's Wheel, luck and right timing, 23, time of change. It's interesting because for me, my soul says we had the Fool's Embrace, Fool as a 0 in a tarot, and now we have in the 23, which is, you know, in tarot the Wheel of Fortune is number 10. This is the number 5, which is that, yeah, there is a change coming. There is, you know, change coming that is going to change things. Also, you can see there is like the sun rising behind it, and at the bottom is the root girl. Oh my god, the disowned self, 46. Yeah, this what has to change. This, the disowned self, temple of my body, the disconnection, you know, because this is how we see ourselves. Temple of my body, which is the root. You see, is the root of the problem. Yeah. Oh my gosh. I'm sorry guys, I know this video is turning long, and it's 46, which is the number 10. These endings, like I said, you know, the next conjunction between Jupiter and Mars will be in 2026, number 10 year, and it will be in Leo. Leo as the inner child. We need to end this, you know, this way of being. Because Leo and Aquarius come as a pair, is one package. Oh wow, this is the card that follows the Fool's Embrace. I completely forgotten the Fool's Embrace. The card that came up for me and my sources in our collaboration on Thursday was 22. This is a 23, and I'm literally just seeing it here. Like, yeah, this is the card that follows Fool's Embrace. Wow. So Fortune's Wheel. Luck and right timing, a turn of fortune. The Fortune's Wheel is a sign that luck has found the right timing in your life. Yeah, there is a hope, remember. You have the magic touch and everything turns to gold. There is nothing you can do wrong. You only need to hold what you desire as your intention, and it becomes true. Do not waste this power of trifling things. Dream big, for surely this opportune moment will pass. Such is the nature of Fortune's Wheel. Use the creative power of the Fortune's Wheel for the benefit of others, and the gifts will be returned to you tenfold. Use it only for your own gain, and you will be left impoverished and with a bitter taste of squandered opportunity. Fortune's wheel comes unannounced. Notice the early signs, the coincidental encounters, and the seemingly magical and synchronous events that herald its arrival. That call, that email, that invitation, that chance encounter was no accident. They all were choreographed by fortune. Do not wait any longer. Carpe diem. Recall your boldest and noblest longing and invite it into your life. This invitation is all that is required. Yeah, there you go. I mean, you can't make this up. This is crazy. And yeah, and the Roots girl. And then we just close with Major Arcana because this video is getting too long. Okay, the Roots girl, 46, number 10. The disowned self, the hidden beauty, the need for acceptance and love. Root girl sits shivering, unclean and naked at the base of the tree of self. She is unloved, unwanted and shunned for her deformities. She has... I mean, come on, right? For her deformities. She has no home, but is safe burrowing underground to dwell near the deepest roots of this sacred tree. Who is she to you? Could this an urchin be the one part of you that reintegrated can lead to your wholeness and true purpose? This is a part of you, the embodiment of deeply flawed perception of your failures, manifesting as guilt and shame. When you project envy onto others or any emotion or instinct that you've learned to repress or deem unnatural, it's this homeless child self crying for attention, acceptance and love. You want to lash out, ignore it, push it aside, all the while refusing to acknowledge this ugly quality as belonging to you. Oh, but if you would only look into the Roots girl eyes and see the beauty and the unmet need, your unmet need, you would realize that this part of you asks for your compassion and understanding. This part of you was born when you were wounded and were conditioned to believe you not whole, that your expression of self is somehow too much or too little. You might have even inherited this creature from your ancestors. However, it was this child self that came to be curled up at the roots of your sacred tree self. It's time to welcome her into your heart. When you do, everything you've been searching for becomes illuminated and your path lights up with renewed purpose. When you come to love Root Girl and claim her as your own, accepting her and your humanity, she is transformed just as you are. Then all manner of magic begins to arrive in abundant form. Look for the beauty. Yeah, this is all available, but we need to take and integrate this aspect of ourselves that we rejected. Yeah, we need to heal this. We need to heal this. The inner child, you know, this is the same thing. The inner child. The inner child. Unleash your authentic self. Okay, 122, oh my gosh. Okay, Major Arcana, last message, you know, overarching energy. Major Arcana, what's going on here? So many cards want to speak. Hanged Man. Oh, where was the number 12? What was the number 12? This one. Emotions are the reflections. What are they really trying to tell us? Hanged Man. Change of perspective. And at the bottom, the Devil. Yeah, the Devil. You know, what are the choices that we made that we feel we stuck with forever, you know, but the chains are loose. We can always choose again. We can make a different choice. This is number 15. Look at that. We mentioned the Devil and here he is. You can always choose again. This is also number 15. Yeah, we thought we chose, and this is what we became. This is what we became. But you can choose again. You can choose again. We just need to look differently at the situation. Okay, guys, super long video. I do apologize. Thank you everyone for watching. If you're still here, I hope that you took breaks. And I want to thank to all the cards that wish to speak and be part of this reading. My higher self, my team of spirit guides and angelic team and ancestors that wanted to be present and speak through me. And I really hope that these messages are helpful, resonating, and perhaps offer you some guidance and maybe reassurance through whatever you are experiencing. So thank you again, guys. Have a great weekend. Best wishes for the full moon in Aquarius, whatever becomes illuminated to us that needs healing. And I'll speak to you again soon. Much love, everyone, and bye for now.